Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 534. This is your guide to the geek side, and I'm one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra. We have survived the 4th of July. We're here, and I'm joined again with Charlie Carden, who survived the Yoopers.
I came back. They didn't get me. Yeah, we did a week up in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, and if you're all familiar with Midwest Michigan in particular, it's another planet. Because we had gone, we did. We even went over to Canada, and I texted Mark, and I was like, I'm in Canada, because you go to Sault Ste. Marie, which is the northeastern portion, and you drive across the little bridge there, and you're in Canada. We had lunch, and it really seemed just the same. And went back, and it's funny, the further west you go, the more kind of savage. There's bears there attacking you, and a chupacabra, and I think I saw a minotaur at one point. There's just a lot of stuff going on in the western UP. Be aware.
Lots of fudge,
yes.
pasties.
Yes. Everything. Oh, that was one thing. April was like, I want a pasty. And every time we had a chance, I was like, you want a pasty? No, I'm good. So we never ended up having a pasty. But it just sounds like it's like a chicken pot pie or something, right? Isn't it, basically? How would you describe it?
Basically, it's a hand pie in England. The UK, they have pies.
Yeah.
It's basically a turnover. It's like it's a Midwestern calzone.
Oh, okay.
Without the Italianness in it.
Well, we will return. My favorite part of the trip was Mackinac Island. I kind of fell in love with it all over again. I hadn't been there in 20 years, and I just think it's kind of a magical place. It's also extremely haunted.
It's
extremely haunted because it was a Native American burial ground and fought over by the British. So many, many people died there. But anyway, we're back. I'm back. I'm excited to be back. We're talking about Superman this week. It's our no spoiler / spoiler cast. We're going to talk about this movie, which is kind of blowing the world up right now. Everybody's really digging on it. But before we do that, as always, we'd like to pay the homage to the wonderful people at our Secret Friends Unite Patreon squad over at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. You can pop in, grab some exclusive programming, early shows, ad-free shows, great Discord benefits, free for 7 days. Half off your first month, and really stay on board for as little as $2 a month. So we would love to have you. These folks know what's going on, like my buddy Derek, the figure dude, Francie, my wife's hairdresser, Mr. Xbox Expansion Pass and frequent guest, Mr. Luke Lohr, and my uncle, Tim Horan, down there in South Haven, Michigan. We appreciate you. Also, John Sedorf, Brendan Myers, Corey in HD, Matthew Keel, my good buddy, Kurt Crew. Got to see him yesterday. We flipped the bins in a comic shop over in Metro Detroit and got to hang out a little bit. Tanya Lee, Chipotle Bear, Famous Seamus, Cam the Movie Man, Jay Newport, 007, Prozac Man, a.k.a. Darth Prozac, and Freight Conductor. See? Freight. I got you. Very good. And of course, without whom there would be not, the awesome, nice family of the Twin Cities, Sean, Stella, and Henry. We appreciate you very much. Again, listening to the sound of my voice, want to see what all the fuss is about. Patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. 7 days for free, and stay on board for as little as $2 a month. And oh my goodness.
Oh, before we move on, Charlie. So some folks who may not listen to either Holocron Chronicles or Co-op Mode may not be aware of that. Mark is decided to retire from podcasting. He's been podcasting with me for 6.5 years, a little less with Charlie on Holocron
about
Chronicles.
5, yeah, just about.
Yeah, and so Mark has promised to come back on a Patreon party chat end of the month, so we'll do that, and he'll give a proper go away to all the Patreons and friends. And but if we're not ending, we're not finishing anything with our Patreon podcast. We're going to change some things up. Maybe
nothing can kill us.
Will be a little different, and Holocron will be a little different. But as of right now, it just means that it'll be back to Charlie and I as the primaries, and so we'll be probably updating our art and things like that. It's not like we're saying Mark never existed. It's just we want to make sure people are looking for Mark and he's not there. And like, where is he?
Where's Mark? Like, where's Waldo? And as we had mentioned on the most recent episode of Holocron, that will become Peter and myself, which ironically, to settle the age-old debate, Peter and I have done Code 47, which is about Star Trek, for 5 years. And now we're doing a Star Wars show which proves that everybody loves both, and the compare contrast between the two is meaningless because we have equal love. So you will be there to enjoy that. But anyway, so All Things Superman, 80-page giant issue. This is number 334
Yes.
of Supergirl. Okay, Action Comics presents Supergirl. So this is a
So I'll tell you a little about this one, Charlie.
Right. Okay.
So,
Okay.
yes, as we said, so this is Action Comics, and this is actually a reprint, which is kind of weird.
Okay.
It actually is a reprint of Action Comics 252, which was Supergirl's origin story.
Oh, there you go.
So,
Okay.
and then there's many other stories with Supergirl, a lot of reprints of stories. So it's kind of basically kind of a look back. It's like that.
It reminds me of it reminds me of those early annuals they did with Marvel, which was in the early 60s, like Amazing Spider-Man Annual #1. First story, which was the main feature, first appearance of the Sinister Six. So you put together 6 of Spider-Man's core villains. The title had been around for about a year or so. So basically they wrapped up all the biggest ones at that time. And then the back half of it was a pinup page. And here's a reprint of Amazing Fantasy 15. And so it was like, 40% new footage. The rest of it is repeats.
I don't even know if they really had comic book shops back then. So if you missed an issue, I don't know where you were finding out like Spider-Man's previous adventure.
I mean, very famously, comics it was like a magazine. So you'd be like, or a newspaper, and then you throw it away. Or kids would trade them and they would get trashed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you would have to ask a historian like Chuck Rosansky, who runs Mile High Comics, who we've interviewed, for our Patreon, about when comic shops really became a thing. He started his bit in the 1970s. And I know your next question will be for me to guess when this is from. The 25-cent cover price, to me, suggests, and I'm going to go right back to that early 1960s time period when comics were 10 or 12 cents. So to scale it up, make it 25 cents, so basically an annual, I'm going to go with 1965.
Ooh, very close, Charlie. 1966.
Ooh.
And I'll share a little trivia with you. The oldest comic book shop in the United States, Golden Age Collectibles in Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Founded in 1961.
So same year as the FF came out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so crazy. It's kind of neat. And it's still active.
Oh,
it's
my
in
God.
Seattle.
We should tap John on the shoulder and see, because he lives in the Pacific Northwest, not that he goes to Seattle all the time, but when he does, I'd love to photograph or something. That would be somebody, man, we could reach out to, and I would do an interview with a guy like that in a pinch.
So the stories in this, most of them are out there, but basically you've got Supergirl from Krypton, you've got the Cave Girl of Steel, Supergirl's First Romance, Supergirl's Super Pet, Supergirl's Fortress of Solitude, the 3 superheroes, Superboy meets Supergirl, and Supergirl Super Steed of Steel, which I assume was Flappy. What was the horse's name?
It just says Super Horse here. What's interesting is having this conversation with I was having this conversation with John because we were talking about pets. There was a deluxe box set action figure set maybe 20 years ago when nicer scale figures were really starting to be a thing. It was Silver Age Superman and Supergirl, so basically the way she appears here, with Streaky the cat and Crypto, and I'm like, oh God, I'd love to have that set. Aftermarket, over $100 to get that set. Okay. So that's not going to happen.
The Steed was Firebrand. It just says horses Firebrand.
I'm just gonna go with Super Horse. That sounds fine to me.
I like Kicky.
Yeah, Kicky. Glue
just kicks everybody.
I like Gluey. Gluey is always my favorite horse name. Just don't step out of line.
And I feel so bad for Supergirl because she's had so many inconsistent origins.
Yeah.
And there's not really like one that is the overarching, what we would consider canon.
Right.
But, the Supergirl that's there now, they probably changed up. But I mean, she's a cool character. I'm glad she's finally getting her due.
Right.
Since that great Supergirl movie.
And
We're probably gonna have to watch that Supergirl movie.
We're gonna have to watch it next year before Millie Alcock takes her bow as Supergirl, the Girl of Tomorrow. Well, the one thing that's missing from the center of this, and I think really that if we were to portray this as a photograph, I think just left of center of Streaky the Super Cat would be a couple of hands sticking in of our own famous crazy cat lady from even back then, our senior news correspondent, Madam Web, lover of cats and master of horses. Back in the day, she did a lot of comic work, but these days she is, of course, down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, waiting with all of this week's latest news stories for us. So let's do it.
Now it's time for Madam Web's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Web. Madam Web, I know you were very disappointed back in the day when you dated both the creators of Superman, Jerry Schuster, Joe Siegel, and you were hoping to be the inspiration for Lois Lane, but you were actually the inspiration for Ma Kent. So sorry about that, but I guess they thought you were a good mother, or you just resembled an old woman living in Kansas.
Right. Yes, even back in 1939. Was that? Yeah, Superman's really that old, isn't he? Well, speaking of stuff that I'm like, I'm excited about this because we did a watch of this show like last year. Now I'm starting to doubt it a little bit, but the Big Bang Theory is it's flowering. It's starting to reproduce. We're getting a show. And, anytime I know they're hoping for like a Frasier type situation, but they're spinning off Stewart, who ran the comic book shop, into his own program. Now, Todd, jog my memory. Where do you land with the Big Bang Theory? You were a fan, watched some, did you hate it and didn't watch any? Where are you at?
I liked it at first, but then after a while, I felt like it just burned out. Like, these nerds keep getting women and, Raj has to drink. I mean, after a while, it's just like, okay, this is just turning into, it's like Happy Days when they stop caring that, they're no longer in the 50s. Like, so they just start dressing like the 70s. Right. I kind of felt like where the show went, everybody got married. So kind of lost its edge, I guess, in a lot of ways.
I mean, it's, you could say the same about Friends, right? Because they're like, oh, we're all down on our luck and we don't have any money. And then they all make it big. And then, Chandler and Monica got married, and then they were going to have a kid, and blah, blah, blah. And then Rachel had a kid. So, yeah, I mean, it goes on. But when you have a show that goes on for, my God, how long was Big Bang on? 12 years, 14 years?
It's a huge show.
Yeah.
His names. Because it was basically the next big hit from Two and a Half Men to this.
Chuck
the guy
Lorre.
that does the
was
show.
It Chuck Lorre? It was him, guy?
He makes so much money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like he tells the same kind of dumb jokes, but it's kind of funny. But the interesting thing about this show, this is why I did this, because we've had two kind of run-of-the-mill spinoffs, but this one is just a little insane.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the synopsis of this show. According to the show's official synopsis, Stewart fails to save the universe will center on a comic book stoner, Stuart Bloom, who is tasked with restoring reality after he breaks a device built by Sheldon and Leonard, accidentally bringing about a multiverse Armageddon. Stewart is aided in his quest by his girlfriend Denise, geologist friend Bert, and quantum physicist all-around pain in the ass Barry Kripke. Along the way, they meet alternate universe versions of characters we've come to know and love from The Big Bang Theory. As the title implies, things don't go well. And Charlie, you know what this reminds me of? Remember those failed spin-offs that never launched in The Simpsons?
Oh,
this is like one of those.
Like the Love-Matic Grandpa and what was it, Chief Wiggum in New Orleans? And what was the last one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were quite a few. The Simpsons Fun Time for Eddie Hour. Yeah. Fun Time. For Eddie Hour.
The Smile Time for Eddie Hour.
Says, I want to do something radical that would take me out of my comfort zone, something the characters in The Big Bang Theory would have loved and hated and argued about.
Right.
Show that the characters from The Big Bang Theory would love to watch. So Zach Penn is a co-creator, and HBO itself sounds just as pumped because Warner Brothers obviously produced the show, distributed it. So I'm guessing they like the fact that they will own the show now, because I still think all the other shows are on CBS, right? All of them have been on CBS.
We watched Big Bang on Max. I'm pretty sure, though. Don't quote me on that, but I would imagine. But
well, I think they own the rights to have them on like their service instead, because I don't think it's not on Paramount Plus. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So is this just too crazy to work? or do you think it'll find an audience? Because I'm leaning towards too crazy to work, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know. I don't know if this could catch. I don't know that people will make the connection. Look how people didn't make the connection with the John Wick spinoff this summer, which is done, and his box office is done without even hitting 60 million.
Have John Wick in the title, so
from the universe.
I just don't know if they wanted to watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know. I mean, this is the hard part. I still worry about a lot of movies with a female-led,
Right.
anything. It seems like there's a big pushback, which is just sad.
I don't get it.
Now,
I don't get it.
Charlize Theron was the lead of Jurassic Park, but it's Jurassic Park, right? It's not
You mean
Joni Dinosaur Hunter in Jurassic Park.
I'm sure you mean Scarlett Johansson, but I think Charlize Theron would have done fine.
Sorry,
sure,
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. Exactly.
So so that being said, the lead of this is male. It's good that it's not just going to be like in his continuation of the show, and he's running a comic shop and blah, 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 blah. So it's good.
I mean, that could work. I mean, that seemed like it would fit, right?
It's at least good that they're having a swing. So anyway, if this is going into production soon, likely that we'll see it next year. It does make mention that this will be very effects driven. So it just makes me wonder. But I mean, if they say they're bringing back
sitcom,
and it says they're bringing back the other characters. And hey, we know that the short blonde girl who did Night Court, we know she's free because that show got canceled. And I don't know what I don't know if they'll get.
Howard isn't doing anything. We haven't seen Johnny Galecki in a while.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll get Kaylee Cucaracha back. I'm never going to get her name right.
The only one that's actually really had a solid career.
Well, I think Jim Parsons has been in some movies and stuff, but he's not as a lead.
He's doing more like indie stuff. I mean, it seems like, yeah.
So I will, without a doubt, I will tune in, but I wouldn't say that it's something that I'm like, oh, I'm very excited about this. I think the Big Bang will get their big blowout in like 15, 20 years when the parents are older and they have kids that are in high school or something. I know, but I mean,
kids are all jocks.
But again,
the kids are all jocks.
But again, yeah, you roll your eyes and I get it, but I think if this is terrible, it's something that will actually resonate with people and they'll like it. You know what I mean? Like mom and dad can't relate to their kid because you're right. Like all their kids are preppy and popular and they're jocks, but the parents are still all nerds. And I'm just saying, it's possible.
Maybe, I don't know. Lately, we've been getting a lot of like Frasier, last a couple seasons,
right.
Night Court. Even like that 90s show or it was called.
Yep. Yeah. Just trying to heritage or legacy or heritage spin-offs or spin forwards, continuations. Speaking of continuations, and I read this headline, but I didn't read this whole deal. The famous, I will say Marvel time slide, but everybody has to do it. Marvel comics have been published continuously for 60 years. Fantastic Four #1, 1961. DC goes back even further than that, but they can't have Peter Parker be 80 years old and being Spider-Man. So they have to kind of adjust things and kind of, lean on your suspension of disbelief. And so this is launching into Captain America. Now, Cap it's kind of a funny one because we know that he fought in World War II, and we know that was in the early 1940s. And then in the original comics, the Avengers, he was thawed out in 1964. You know what I mean? So you're like, okay, he was on ice for 20 years. Well, it kept getting longer. Then we got
time to go to Nam, Cap.
Korea, Nam. Now you're in the Persian Gulf. But, by the time we got to Captain America, First Avenger, the MCU film, which we watched just over the 4th, it had been 70 years that he had been on ice. So what's going on? So now they're trying to work this in the 21st century. So what's going on with this?
So this is basically, they said, typically they try to get it so the prior characters are all about 10 to 15 years in scope. Right. So with that, basically, they're saying that Cap was actually still frozen during 9/11.
Okay.
So there was a young man named David Colton who was weak but he wanted to enlist in the army, after 9/11. So basically, similar here. He basically attracted the attention of the superiors who administer the same super soldier serum that transformed Steve in the Sentinel of Liberty. And the only difference, instead of fighting Nazis, the Cap is plunging headlong into the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Wow.
Two really popular wars.
Super popular. And hey, we're going back to Iraq. Yippee! But and Todd, you were over in Saudi, weren't you, back in those days when you were in the Air Force? It was during that time period.
Yeah, 6 months. Yeah, and then I stayed through Operation Iraqi Freedom, and obviously it was a huge success.
That's why we spent another 20 years over there, and like I said, we're probably headed back. But yeah, it sounds like the other half of this issue, I'll tell them that story, kind of tease it up to Steve being discovered by the Avengers and then again being thawed out. So Cap re-enlists in the army. Thunderbolt gives him his mission to infiltrate Latveria, where a young Doctor Doom has just usurped the throne, and rescue American diplomats trapped there. So are they just rewriting things? Is this Ultimates, or is this? I'm not really following like how this is supposed to fit in.
It's a new title, but yeah, this seems like it would have been a good Ultimate book, right? Because it does seem like it's basically just reiterating or changing his story. And yeah, it's kind of, I like the idea of it. And Chip Zdarsky's writing it, and he's a good writer. So yeah, I'm not sure how well this will all fit in. And it's very interesting to me.
I'm interested to the point that I'd like to read this, and maybe I'll even buy it off the shelf, as it were, and kind of support the the effort. When do we get? What's our drop date on this? We're getting this. Do we not have a drop date on this?
Let's see. It should be right typically at the
this is the solicit. So this was just listed.
I'm looking through here. Yeah, I used to be really good about putting the date of things in it, because that's what we always want to figure out. I don't see a date. I'm looking.
I'm scrolling to the end. They don't have it. Well, you can kind of assume that this will. I'm thinking like September, October, probably, because I bet this spun off of.
So it just launched.
Oh, it just launched. Okay, maybe I'll take a peek. Yep. Maybe I'll actually go buy a physical copy and try to rejoin the ranks of people reading comics and stuff. So, all right. Well, at the end of this month, July, we're recording in mid-July. It is the annual return of San Diego Comic-Con. Todd, you attended back in, was that 2010? Because you have family out that way. Yeah, and you've not been back to it since. Is it still super duper hard to get tickets to it? I mean, I know back in the day it was like you have a 10-second window to buy them.
I haven't heard as much hubbub. I think that Marvel proper will not be there, so it might be less exciting.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check to see if there's still. Let's see if there's tickets still available.
And it's interesting because, again, it goes on, and I know that there are a lot of big, like Star Trek has a big feature there, but again, it's San Diego Comic-Con, and maybe there are some people who are really into that. Like you and I go to a show and we're like, I'm going to flip bins and I'm going to look for trades and single issues and blah, blah. But most people, they want to cosplay, they want to shop and look at trinkets and stuff, or they just want to go to fun and interesting panels that don't explicitly have things to do with comics. So anyway, what are some of the big features going on this year? What can we look forward to?
Okay, so the headline is going to be that we'll get fan favorite turners like Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. South Park is going to be there, and it's going to have the creators there, which is kind of cool. I don't think they've ever been there before. And then we're going to have that Long Walk cast is going to be there. Alien Earth is going to be there.
Wow, nice.
Trey Parker, Matt Stone, Mike Judge, Andy Sandberg will all be there. That's kind of cool. Star Trek Universe panel as well, Charlie. Panels for Avatar: The Last Airbender, NCIS, Tony and Ziva. Yes, that's what I want to do. Okay, maybe your mom will go, Charlie.
I think she'll be psyched. I'll have to let her know.
But a lot of casts of TV show, the Ghosts will have a panel. Abbott Elementary, that's kind of different.
Yeah, that's just a run-of-the-mill sitcom. It's not really genre in any way, shape, or form.
The cast of Twisted Metal, Strangers Chapter 2.
The big headline I heard as far as like, hey, they're going for the first time is George Lucas is making an appearance and speaking at a panel. I don't know if that information is in this article.
Charlie, there's an Outlander panel.
I saw that. Well, hopefully it'll be something. Yeah, they have a new spin-off starting next month.
Blood.
Yes, the Blood. Phineas and Ferb. Oh, Daryl.
Because they all date each other's sisters, right? Back in the day, cousins were legal.
Oh, God. Phineas and Ferb, which I know is a show April loves. Daryl Dixon in Paris, The Walking Dead coming back. Alien Earth, which we're getting. Are we getting that next month? Or is it this month? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's coming out in August.
Okay.
It's coming out in August. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Solar Opposites. That sounds familiar. Lilo and Stitch, the bane of my summer bracket. That Todd has is number one, but we didn't know. We kind of underestimated it, so it's blown it away.
Oh, Tia Carrera's going to be there, Charlie.
You remember my Tia Carrera story, don't you? When we were at Wizard World in Chicago, probably in 2011, and I was wearing that shirt that said, Kirk versus Picard, and they had this list. And I was walking by her table. She flagged me down and said, "I love your shirt," and talked to me for a minute, and then handed me an unsigned photograph of herself, and that was our interaction. It was so bizarre.
Well, I
didn't ask.
That's so weird. I know. Well, it's like weird. It's like, here's a picture of me.
Now go away. Like, yeah, it was really bizarre. But she enjoyed my shirt, and had to pluck me out of the crowd. It was bizarre. King of
the Hill's going to have a panel. That's kind of cool. That coming back. Right?
Coming back. Your Bob's Burgers there on day 3, along with the Star Treks and Futurama.
Oh, I'd love to go to their cast. I'd love to go to their panel. Yeah. The cast is so funny.
Yeah, Simpsons, the American Dad. Oh, that'd be a day for you. Family Guy. So all the Fox stuff.
Wow, that's a lot of talent showing up for like some shows that you think like really they're coming out.
They're kind of out of pocket. Oh, here you go. So it's closing out on Sunday with George Lucas talking about the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. So he's there pushing something. Why wouldn't he be? Pushing.
Oh, and they're going to have cast members, including Starfleet Academy. Will be there,
I love it. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
They wrapped the first season of that show. It's in post production, and I think getting started on the second season.
Did you see Paradise? Did you watch Paradise?
God, it was so good. Okay. I absolutely loved it.
They're going to have a panel there for that, and season 2's coming out.
Awesome. So that sounds great. Now, again, I think, the real rub is, and it was always this way with Star Wars as well, as how do we mere mortals access these panels? Are they, with the Star Wars, there was frequently a live stream. They would obviously cut out the trailers. They'd be like, well, we're not showing this one. I'm trying to remember, does San Diego Comic-Con do something somewhat similar as far as, do they make some of the content available, or are you just reading headlines and stuff? You're reading blogs or whatever on different websites that you follow? I don't recall. How about you? Do you remember what they tend to do, or is it vary?
I think it will vary again. Yeah, they probably will not show like trailers or things that they saw, but they typically have like the chatty parts maybe online. And Charlie, tickets went on sale for 2025 in September 2024. So a year ago they went on sale, and it's all sold out.
Oh, okay. I mean, but not an indication of it. Like it went on sale on September 3rd at 2 a.m. and it was sold out on September 3rd at 2:07 a.m. I mean, that's not, if I was a local, I mean, there was funny. That was an ongoing talk about Big Bang Theory. There was always an ongoing thing about like, we go every year because they'd lived in Southern California and blah, blah, blah. But, for us Midwesterners, if I could, especially with the proliferation of being able to watch content online and stuff and shopping, and different experiences and stuff, and see these people in person. There are so many little cons out there. If you want to go to one of the creation cons that's Supernatural with Vampire Diaries, or of course the Star Trek ones, there are more opportunities to see more specialized stuff. So doesn't mean it's not exciting.
I will say though, it's a top tier though, because it is not like, it is just an experience because they do so many cool experiences. So I mean, I can only judge it from what I remember, and it was pretty amazing. And there was so many corporations there, so many, like Marvel had panels. Right. I mean, these are just like the celebrity panels. This is nothing about like Marvel will have a panel in regards to comics, DC have panels. Right. So great place to also find a lot of artists that you love.
Right. If
anybody's going, let us know. And
we would like, and I know that like New York Comic Con, I know Kurt always goes every year, and he's gotten me specialty stuff. There's always specialty merch, like the Marvel people will do specialty merch. So Kurt has picked up stuff for me. He got me last year he got me the little Star Trek pin chevron that says I voted. He picked it up for me because I was a member of something or other. But so that is
I've still got my Mossman deodorant.
Oh,
Charlie.
very
They
good.
handed out a little Mossman
I
deodorant.
love it.
Still got
It's high-tech mossy. Well, continuing to talk about legacy sequels, ABC going back to the well, bringing us a reboot of Scrubs, though, but having the original cast to me doesn't really make it a reboot. It just kind of makes it a continuation, right? So yeah,
I would think
they got Zach Braff, Donald Faison, and Sarah Chalk coming back as JD Turk and Elliot, alongside series creator Bill Lawrence. Do we get the best members of the cast? Do we get the janitor? Do we get Dr. Cox? And do we get Dr. Cox's wife? That's what I want to know. But huge fan. I feel like we've seen it all, but I know we've drilled down and I think we watched a season or two within the last couple of years. Definitely the kind of show that even though it's from the early 2000s, some of the humor, like some of the really homophobic humor, has not aged well, but a lot of it is still pretty universal and fun. So, yeah. So what's going on with this? What are they doing that's different? Is this like Stewart Saves the Universe, or is this going to be a little more different?
Do you remember how Scrubs ended?
I don't know if I saw it.
Well, essentially, they got an extra season because it was weird. It was like on NBC, and then it went to ABC. Because it was not going to be renewed there, so it's an ABC produced show. So ABC took it up. The last season, I guess, was the previous season was pretty good. Last season, essentially, JD was on he was basically taking kind of the lead, and there were interns there, and he was only on for like 3 seasons. Then essentially it was a new class of interns. Sure. So apparently Bill, basically the creator, said he really wanted it to be a new show, or call it something else, Scrubs Next Generation, but they didn't allow him. So he's like, it didn't work out. So this is essentially going to be very similar, where the doctors find their way back, but now they're going to be the senior staff leading the, and we might have, maybe Dr. Cox now runs the hospital, kind of like the old guy. Remember the old grumpy guy? And maybe the janitor now is head of the hospital, maybe. I don't know. Maybe
they're co-heads of the hospital. Talks about bringing back Judy Reyes, who is Carla, the wife of Donald Faison's character, but she's currently the lead on another show on ABC, but they're working on making it happen. So you're right. The original Scrubs aired for 9 seasons, 7 on NBC and 2 on ABC, and was a cult hit for its emotional depth, which they really had some really great episodes, like the one with Brendan Fraser, and how he was the brother-in-law to Dr. Cox, who died, but Dr. Cox kept having conversations with him because he couldn't let him go in his mind.
And don't forget the musical, Charlie, where everything comes down to poop.
I'm drawing a blank on that one, but I'm into this. So will this be a network deal, or is one of the streamers picking this up? I'm scrolling backwards.
I mean, if it's ABC, it's under Disney.
So it'll be on Hulu.
So it'll be ABC, and then go to Hulu.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm on board, and if this is just starting to evolve, I would imagine it's a developing story. So I would imagine next year, because I'm in board.
I like those characters. Bring it on. I like the shows. It's goofy.
Bring it on.
We need more of those.
Well, it was funny. I'll talk in the Geek Easy about how we were just rewatching Peacemaker, and Peacemaker reminds me of this next character, which would be Soldier Boy from The Boys, who is basically, I think Peacemaker described himself as a douchebag Captain America, where I think Jensen Ackles' Soldier Boy takes it a step further because he's just a straight up psycho that we saw on that show. They're just doing everything possible not to actually bring the boys back, aren't they? When is that show even coming out again?
Yeah, one more season.
Yeah, exactly.
I think 2026. Okay. I think 2026 is when it's coming back, because we're getting Gen V in the fall. Right. So that's coming back in September. So this would make sense. Yeah, for 2026. And then they're just wrapping up to do another series with a dude we all love, and that's Jensen Ackles.
Yeah, absolutely. So series act as a 1950s coming of age story exploring his origins and insecurities. I thought he fought in World War II. So would he be doing coming of age story in the 50s, or are they doing the time slide there too? Because he's like,
that's a good question. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I thought he was a Nam, to be honest. Maybe he was.
You know what I remember is that he was active in like the 80s. It was like, do you remember the Iran-Contra scandal episode? Yeah. And that was where the guy who played Noir got crippled, and that's why he couldn't speak anymore, because he got blown up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So 1950s. But when I think Soldier, I guess my brain was thinking of Captain America. But it does say that Eric Kripke is the creator of The Boys, is set to wrap up with season 5 in 2026. Ackles will bring Soldier Boy into this production, expected to start next month, so in August, with a lot of the same players. The Boys Vought Rising, or is that a different show? Oh, I don't know if they're talking about two different things here. And this was, oh my gosh, he's looking forward to it during, he's going to be in Michigan for the Road So Far, the Road Ahead Creation Novi, Michigan. That's probably for the Supernatural. Because they go around and do those. So,
and he's got his one show that's on now on, it's called, I can't remember what's on CBS show.
Okay.
Too. So he's got his own like ongoing show. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of cool. We're basically getting a throwback to the early days of Vought. You know, we're probably going to see a lot of unique superheroes from back in the day because he was the first one.
Right.
And yeah, Vought Rising. I mean, and it's going to be kind of, and it'll be interesting if they treat this more like are they going to do like a pseudo documentary type of style? Like, is this going to be like where they're going to be doing recreations or found footage, or is it really just going to be a show? And yeah, I think this is a cool idea.
Yeah.
I like the character, and
agreed.
You know, the Boys universe is very rich, and it's not like a prequel. It's like, oh, we're going to see Butcher as a kid. I don't want to see that. Soldier Boy is the perfect character where it's so far beyond what we got. So, and you know, he's a dirtbag, so he's going to get in some trouble.
He's going to get in some dirt, some real dirtbaggery. All right, well, that takes us out of the news. I have to. Oh boy, Todd and I are going to have a race. I'll challenge you to a race around the world to get to the Geek Easy, because you're somewhere where you have a weird background. I'm here in my studio as always, but I have my Uber ordered up. It has arrived. Jumping in the backseat of this Cadillac Escalade, smells like weed, and the AM radio is playing, and I hear this very familiar advertisement.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. And this week, I decided to watch a new animated film from DC. It's on HBO Max, which is now actually branded as HBO Max now. If you've checked out the app, which is
because when I look at my remote, when I bought it, it said HBO Max, and then it wasn't, and now it is again. It's great.
Back again.
It's great.
Back again.
I love it.
Yeah. It's kind of dumb because if you go back to those earliest Netflix or the Roku remotes, you know, some of those services probably not going to exist anymore. So it's probably not a good idea to do that. But they pay big money for that. So there we go. But back in, I think it was 2022, Batman Ninja came out, which was just a fun movie that was basically an anime style take on Batman. Was basically tracking down the Joker, which then was using this device to do something really weird, caused basically a time disruption. And then Batman ended up in feudal Japan. And it was like, then they had versions of the Joker. He was like a samurai. Then you had a Catwoman. and it was just very fun. I really love the show.
Did the Batman who went back, was he like regular Batman, but he ended up in feudal Japan,
Yes.
and then just by coincidence they had a Joker and a Penguin and a Catwoman or whatever?
A lot of the people were essentially, it's almost like alternate versions of themselves.
Oh, okay.
So not every one of them knew who they were, whereas Batman knows exactly who he was because he was there when it happened.
Okay.
So essentially, it's like a bubble around, brought in people,
Okay.
and then only the Joker and Batman and Robin really know what's going on. So, but obviously,
this ended up coming up as a suggestion with the stuff that I'm going to talk about, because I spent a lot of time on Max in the last couple of days, and it was like, I was trying, when you wrote it, I'm like, is that a comic or something? And then I saw that it was a thing, that it was a video there on HBO Max. So it was any good? Was it like 90 minutes? Was it like a movie?
Well, so that the first one was great. It was out, really enjoyed it. And this is now like an actual just sequel. This is essentially like a day after Batman comes back and Robin, they come back.
Oh, okay.
And things are still screwed up. Like Japan is now missing, and they look up in the sky, and Japan is now like actually floating in the
How
air.
did they do that?
But nobody can see it. But apparently now everything's changed because what they did. So now you've got like these Yakuza coming from the sky raining down, and nobody knows, but they just accept it as something that's happened. It's very weird. It's very weird. I'm like, why is this happening? Well, because they're coming down, because essentially those people that are there now want to take over. And then you find out that, so Batman and Robin now have to go back to figure out what the hell happened. This time, though, they are joined by Nightwing, Red Hood,
the whole family.
I guess it would be Tim Drake Robin, and then Damian Wayne is the new Robin.
Oh, okay.
So Red Robin, I think, is the character.
Red Robin.
So basically, they all go back, and as they get in there, then they determine, and this is why it's called the Yakuza League, is because essentially all the members of the Justice League are now involved, and it's basically there's crime syndicates. Like, so the Joker is the head of one syndicate, and he has a version of Green Lantern and Aquaman, who are basically under this lord, and then you've got a version of Ra's al Ghul, who has a version of Superman, and then Wonder Woman as well. She's part of the Amazone clan.
Oh my goodness!
And she also is there. And so it's very fun, very cool. The alternate versions are neat. There's a great battle between Batman and Superman, and I love the way it turns out, and it's just very, very fun. So it's short, it's 90 minutes, and it's just they definitely take the anime feel from it, and it's the voice cast is amazing. I imagine if you wanted to, you could watch it in Japanese, but the voice talent is great. It's just fun.
So there's
it's a very fun movie.
Two of them. There's the first one, and then there's the sequel. That's the one you're talking about. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, the first one's Batman Ninja, primarily focused on Joker, Harley Quinn, and Catwoman, and this one's just the whole team there, and Batman has to take him down. So it's pretty cool. I enjoyed it.
Well, you can call this just a rolling promotion for HBO Max, because I saw two things on HBO Max. And again, we just got home on Friday from our voyage to the Great White Far Away. But we had started watching Peacemaker, the first season, because the new season's coming out in about a month. And I had not revisited this since obviously it was on, it came out in 2022. How friggin' delightful. What a fun, super fun show. Absolutely packed with a lot of graphic violence, terrible language, sporadic nudity here and there. But it was a blast. And I was reminded, and I did, every time the credits came out, I did the dance right along with, do the crab walk, all this different stuff. But then we kind of Tarantino'd it. We went backwards and watched 2021's The Suicide Squad. Yeah. Which it was interesting. And it's kind of I was watching yet another analysis video today that was saying Peacemaker is being integrated into what is now known as DC Studios, as opposed to the DCE, or the hell you wanted to call the huge mess that existed before it. Where at the end of Peacemaker, they're walking away after the big climactic battle, and you've got the Flash standing there and Aquaman standing there, and Peacemaker interacts with them, and they have some lines, but also so is Wonder Woman and Superman, but they're in shade and they have no lines. And then what's funny is that, the Flash is no longer anybody they're going to work with. And our boy Aquaman has been recast as Lobo. So you're just kind of leaving it up to explaining how Peacemaker is now, and you've seen in the trailer for season 2 that he's talking to Maxwell Lord right alongside Green Lantern and Hawkgirl, who are characters in the film that we're going to talk about in a minute here. So, but yeah, the Suicide Squad was, now there was a movie in 2016 called Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad. That's the difference.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is just like the fact that they are actually able to do this and turn people's like actually admit like, oh, I like this movie versus like, that's so hard to do when you got a movie that's so like bad and then you're being like, well, it's not really a sequel, it's different.
I mean, it isn't
kudos to them.
They maintain the same concept. They obviously had Amanda Waller has been doing the big bad, being in charge of a team of criminals sent on a suicide mission. They brought back Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang, who dies immediately. But your main transitional character was a very delightful performance of Harley Quinn again by Margot Robbie. And I was telling April, we almost finished watching it before I came down here. We had like 20 minutes left. And I said, besides Barbie, which we just rewatched recently and I hadn't seen it, in which she was amazing. This was the thing that she was in that I liked the most that she's ever done. But yeah, that Peacemaker appeared in this and he appeared to have died. Sorry about the spoiler, but then he obviously survived. And then that's where the Peacemaker show kicks off. So I'd recommend watch them in order instead of in reverse. So I would say if you haven't seen Suicide Squad and you want to get on board with Peacemaker for the show coming out, I would say watch these two. Peacemaker is 8 episodes of 42 minutes each or 50 minutes, whatever it is, and the Suicide Squad is it's a 2.5 hour movie. Both definitely fun. Both James Gunn's fingerprints are all over it. James Gunn wrote and directed the Suicide Squad, so it's 100% him. All of the same touches, all of the same people, all the same cameos.
He directed Peacemaker as well.
All of the episodes. Okay,
yeah. He is not going to be, I believe, directing.
They handed it over
Peacemaker, but he's going to be executive producing. Or maybe even writing it. I think maybe, but just not directing.
I didn't know that he was all in on Peacemaker the show, but I knew that it was characters that he crafted. But
that was his first big project that I think that before even Suicide Squad, he was given. When he was basically let go.
Oh yeah, he got the boot from Disney before they begged him back to make what some people might consider the only good Marvel post Endgame film, which was Guardians 3. They had
to bring it back.
It's a tough argument, but he delivered.
Yeah. Have you watched Creature Commandos?
No, I started it and didn't finish it, but I get the whole Rick Flag thing, the dad, and I got that part of it.
And that one's written by Gunn, and he didn't direct it, but he wrote the whole thing too.
I think I watched an episode or two, and then much like everything within our ADHD streaming world, I'm like, oh, a blue car, and I was watching something else. I mean, you know how it is. But yeah, if you've not seen them and you want to get into Peacemaker, it's a very fun show. Definitely for adults. Keep the kids away. Has nothing to do with that. Even though I looked into Peacemaker, he's a character from back in the 50s, and he was radically different pre-crisis. He was a pacifist who cared about peace and all. Yeah, it's just nothing at all. But
he will kill anyone that gets in the way of peace.
Exactly. But this reinforces just how much I enjoy John Cena. I don't do wrestling shit. It doesn't appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. But I absolutely love him. Absolutely will watch about anything he shows up in. Even the terrible stuff like the Fast and the Furious movie that we watched, that he was Dom's brother for some reason, even though they don't look anything alike.
he makes things enjoyable. Yes, he does.
He's very good. So, and the second thing, I just picked this up because it came out last week, but I snagged it on my Kindle as I always do. Though, please visit your local comic shop. This is a single issue.
Don't do as I do. Don't do as I do.
Do as I say. Don't do as I do. And my own local comic shop guys will give me shit for it sometimes, but I still spend money with them, and you know what? That's where it's at. Because I don't need to be defined by how I choose to consume things, but I still like to spend money on things that are tangible, not intangible. But I snagged there's a Prelude one shot to the Fantastic Four First Steps film, which we're going to get in a couple of weeks here. It's a one shot that retells their origin very briefly, which people are very familiar with, and I'm getting the feeling that the timeline of the movie is going to be set 3 or 4 years after they get their power, so they're established. Well, this is them coming right out the gate and basically recapturing the plot line of the very first issue back in 1961 of the proper comic. Mole Man appears, the big green monster appears. Mole Man is very obviously what his name, Paul David Hauser. Like the guy that is going to be, even though they haven't come right out and shown him in any of the trailers. It's right on out there. So, but this was fun. It's also interspersed with these.
So are they not? I guess we'll see. Are they going to include any of this into the movie?
But I would think probably found footage, because remember the big scene we have them coming out. In a stage that looks like the stage the Beatles were on at the Ed Sullivan. And it's probably going to be here's our recap of the last few years, and it will probably have some of this stuff. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. But the thing that's really fun about this, and it's your standard, 32, 35, 40 pages, something like that. It's interspersed with little fake ads like join the Johnny Storm fan club. And, here's an interview with Reed Richards, and, here's Sue Storm about the Future Foundation, which is, her big
smoke camels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, smoke camels. Your doctor smokes camels after he does surgery. So it's fun, and if you're as fired up for this movie as I do, I would recommend going to pick it up. Swing down to your local comic shop. Don't get it digitally. Don't do it. It's banned.
Yes. Don't be a Charlie. Don't be a
Charlie. But anyway, that takes us up out of the Geek Easy. So the main event has arrived. We've got to get ourselves down to the land down under. I've got my Air Qantas app out. Tickets for two in steerage on the plane to get us down to the land down under, where Hologram Tina and the mutants await for us to discuss the event we've all been waiting for, that one of the corners of the July 2025 movie Bermuda Triangle, that is Superman 2025. Let's do it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week we are talking about Superman. This is the official return to the big screen for Big Blue since an era that we will not discuss. But some people did enjoy that era. I was not.
It's been discussed, though. We did. It was funny because obviously if you regular listen to the show, for about 5 episodes we were covering various Superman movies starting from 1978, which we were debating off roll here about how do you refer to this movie versus that movie, because when you say Superman, for almost 50 years people think of the film from 1978, just like people think when you say Batman 89, even though that's not what it was called. But
well, there was a Batman 66, right? Did it say Batman 1966?
It was called Batman, and then that was preceded by a theatrical release that was called either Batman the movie or just Batman. So, but anyway, people tend to kind of know what you're talking about.
Well, they lopped off the movie for the first one in 78. Yeah. So, So this is we're not talking about Superman again. We already did that. So this is the new take, the first directed film for James Gunn in the Gods and Monsters franchise.
Yes.
Just let everyone know we will be giving our top line spoiler-free review and score, and then we'll get into the spoilers on the back half. So the plot points, all those things you'll get on that end, because we don't want to give anything away. So with that, the log line summary is Superman must reconcile his alien Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as reporter Clark Kent, as the embodiment of truth, justice, and the human way. He must soon find himself in a world that views these as old-fashioned, which is absolutely true. James Gunn directed this. Writers, Jerry Siegel, obviously creator. And then we've got music by John Murphy and David Fleming. We've got a release date of July 2025, 130 minutes, and a budget of $225 million.
And if I'm not mistaken,
and James Gunn also wrote this. Jerry Siegel did not come back into that to actually write.
He didn't ghostwrite it, if you didn't see my air quotes. Box office wise, just off the top of my head, we're at about 120 million, I think, domestic, and about that much overseas. So we're past budget. I think they've made their raw budget they've made, but things continue to move forward.
It's going to be tough for a character as American identified as Superman overseas these days, when we're sending out new tariffs every day. We are not making friends. So hopefully people realize Superman is the best of us and does not represent a guy who just put his face on a Superman poster.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh yeah. And a large lawsuit lobbied against. But anyway, who's in the movie? Let's run it down.
So we will not go too deep because there are going to
Big
be
cast.
some spoilers in some of this. So we've got David Cornsweet, obviously, as Clark Kent, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, Nicholas Hoult, Lex Luthor, Maria Gabriela Defaria, Angela Spica. She's also playing the engineer. Skylar Gazondo, Jimmy Olsen, Eddie Gathegi, Michael Holt, Isabella Merced, Kendra Saunders, aka Hawkgirl, Nathan Fillion, Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern, Anthony Kerrigan, Rex Mason, Wendell Pierce, like the guy, he's Perry White, Pruitt Taylor Vince as Jonathan Kent, Neva Howell, Martha Kent, and then other than that, I think we've seen her, Sarah Sampaio, playing Eve Tessemacher, Michaela Hoover, Kat Grant, Beck Bennett, Steve Lombard, he's the big beefy dude. And then other than that, big call out. I love this casting. Terrence Rosemore as Otis. And man, Otis was redeemed in this film.
I know, yeah. Otis being, of course, you remember from us talking Superman 78 was Ned Beatty, who was a bumbling idiot, where this Otis is right on top of stuff.
Highly effective at his job. Yeah,
absolutely. All right. Well, where do we go from here?
Okay, Charlie. Let's, obviously people have seen the plot of this movie. Give an overview that this is, because at the beginning of this movie, I don't spoil it for anybody, but this is a Superman in a world where he has been known to the world for 3 years. Yep. But meta-humans have been around for quite some time. Yeah. So he came out.
They roll it in factors of 3. So they say, 300 years ago, meta-humans revealed themselves to Earth's population. 30 years ago, a distant planet named Krypton sent off their last surviving infant who crashed on Earth and was raised by Kansas farmers. 3 years ago, this adult child with superpowers, and it was a metahuman, revealed himself to the world. And they said 3 minutes ago he lost his first fight. And
I think that's what we're going to go for. Basically, this is a world where superheroes exist, villains exist, and it's accepted. And we are basically dropped into this world. Characters are presented in a non-origin story fashion. We do not get Superman's origin story in this movie. It just assumed that was all you needed to know. By
text, which I think, because how many of superhero films, as they drudge on, waste a quarter of the film or a third of the film on some long dragged out origin story that then they have to cram something in the back. Then it ends with a third act big blue sky hole. You know what I mean? CGI fight. So nice that, even though this was almost entirely CGI because he's fighting big monsters, but they didn't waste it. They didn't waste it with that. So,
yes. So I'm thinking at this point, if we did pros and cons in our score, would our pros and cons give anything away? I don't want to hit on anything because if we lead into it, but maybe just give our overall impressions. And then we go into more of the pros and cons.
I can sum it up. Huge fan. Loved this film. I would say the thing that sets it apart, particularly within the lens of the last 15 years, is that Superman is fun again. He's the Kansas farm boy. He says golly and gosh a couple different times. He's wholesome, but he's not a dweeb, but he's also kind of self-effacing, which I love some of his interactions with some of the other characters. And it overall gives you this message of we're all one. Even though he's an alien, it gives us a message of we're all one people, which I think is a very critical message for this day and age. So this movie gave me hope and I'm a Marvel Comics guy. Everybody who listens to the show knows that about me. This tossed me back into loving DC Comics. And like I said, I was watching the Super Friends and I watched the Peacemaker recently. I'm all about DC Comics right now because this movie just really fired me up. I'm going to have to divorce that in a couple of weeks to get back in the Fantastic Four. But for now, I'm all about Superman.
Do you have a score, Charlie?
I don't want to be like, oh, God, it was a 10 out of 10. But golly, this was a 9. This was a 9 for me. I really couldn't pick it apart. I know other people. It was funny. I was talking to my barber, who's a big comic guy, and I could tell he didn't like it. I was talking to our buddy Kurt, and he was like, "Well, I thought some of the jokes didn't land." And I'm like, well, "Give me one." And he said, "Well, it was the one in the stinger." I'm like, well, "Who really cares if it's in a stinger? really part of the movie. And I had some thoughts on that at an interview I saw with James Gunn that I'll talk about in a while, as far as why his stingers are a little bit more irreverent. We have two of them that cap off this movie, but I can't think of anything that I was watching that I said, ugh, like I did with some of the other Superman films we've seen. So 9 out of 10. Good stuff.
Excellent. And after I give mine, we actually had a couple of comments from socials, and actually there was one actually on Threads or on Blue Sky, Charlie, that responded to you was John Wall. So if you want to find that, or I can find it. But,
keep talking. I'll see. I just don't know if I'm logged in Blue Sky on this computer. We'll find out. All right, keep talking. Keep talking.
So I love this movie. I had a smile on my face the whole time I saw this movie. It hit so many good notes that I just was so impressed by. This Superman is always getting, Superman is always getting pushed back. Oh, he's a Boy Scout. He is perfect. He can't be beat. And I felt like this was the first time Superman was actually treated as a real person. He wasn't one note one way or the other. He had a honest to God relationship with Lois that felt like a real relationship. You could kind of tell why they liked each other, but there was tension, which was great. His relationship with his parents was amazing. I liked the chemistry with all of the workers at the Daily Planet, which was fun. I really enjoyed the fact that we lived in a world where superheroes exist, kind of like when you jump into your first comic. You just have to jump on board. And it was great. And there were some just great moments with that. And yeah, I just felt so good about this Superman that I think he finally this will bring a lot of people around to say, oh, Superman, you can write good Superman stories. And you know what? He wasn't invulnerable, and they managed some things, and they really brought in so many aspects of Superman as a character. And I really enjoyed it. So this first time we actually had Lex Luthor feeling like a credible threat with actual soldiers behind him that could do some real damage, which I really liked, because Lex Luthor often teams up with powered people because he does need a little bit of a bodyguard going on. So, and the humor was balanced very well, which was really good. I know some people complain about James Gunn and stuff is a little too humorous at times, but I thought it was done at the right aspect. So I think it was that perfect blend that Marvel, I think, used to do a lot better.
They used to have and I know you use the expression, the kind of the yucks per minute. But the yucks paid off, where now we're just it's not really slamming that way. But this tended to represent everything that has been lost in the last few years, unfortunately, with even Guardians 3, even though Gunn driving the bus really didn't have the same spark that Guardians 2 did, which or Guardians 1, which were both.
I liked Guardians 3 far more than 2. I love the fact of Rocket's story. I mean, it was and that's what James Gunn was always saying. This is Rocket's story, and we finally got that element. That's how he became the lead of the Guardians, because he finally actually cared for people. And so, but this, I mean, if I would say the one thing I think was probably disappointment. I think this a lot of people talk about, a lot of the heroes didn't get as much screen time, but I was okay with that because I didn't want it to detract from Superman, but we wanted to have a relationship.
They still got more screen time than the rest of the Justice League did in BVS. Here's a clip of setting up this. Here's a clip of setting up that. It wasn't this long, drawn out, huge setup. But the other two characters, so we're talking about Green Lantern and Hawkgirl, also have an absolutely terrific headquarters, which made me squeal when I saw it. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God.
And Mr. Terrific was great. I really love that character. I mean, a character probably most people don't know him. He looks kind of silly, but that character is a great. I mean, his heritage is from Justice Society, and I love what they brought in with them. So so I'm really. Music was great. There were some really great moments that I just as a fan of DC. I love too, because I have a long heritage with that team. So I and my family all love it. So at this point, my son's like, "Wow, DC finally nailed it." So I'm going to give this one. I will say a 9 out of 10 because it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it was perfect for me. and this is now my favorite Superman film.
Gotcha.
So,
All right.
so there
Are we
you
going to
go.
read these comments? Well, I don't even really think they're very spoilery.
Yeah,
But let's do it.
Yep.
So we have over on our SFU Discord. And again, if you don't belong to our SFU Discord, please find it. And if you don't find us, send us a bit on socials and we'll get you at it. But this was Gimpy J, longtime.
Oh, don't no,
Oh.
you're not gonna be able to read this.
Oh.
Save it for post.
Oh, that's why I asked you. See, yeah.
No. I mean, save that one for post. But if you have others, you can have. Well, maybe there are too many spoilers. We'll see.
We're going to come back.
Folks.
That's what I was trying to tell you. Look at that.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. I didn't realize they were this spoilery.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I tell you, we could read one that I don't. No, no, we'll come back. All right. Well, let's. Are we ready to transition then?
Yes, absolutely. So let's now get into spoiler. We're giving you a warning. So go see the movie. Come back. If you're not going to see the movie, you can continue on in 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go.
Do it. All right. So, yeah, I do. It's interesting. I can't recall a time that I've seen a trailer that represented the exact beginning of the movie. And this one did, with the exception of the title card, which I kind of described earlier, that they did it in threes. And it was made reference to the fact of David Cornswett's love of Star Wars. He maybe had some input. We had a conversation. Like, I would love an opening crawl for this movie, and they did. And they did a really nice job of it. And they also did a nice work of something that's more prevalent in movies today by not having credits that are 5 to 10 minutes long. They just simply had the Superman boom in the S, kind of evocative of the original film. But they got right into it. Yeah, Superman crashes in the Arctic. He's all busted up. He whistles for Krypto, which is the chaos dog who comes across the ice, and he's jumping all over, kicking the shit out of him, and then drags him back home. And it's everything that you saw in the more recent longer trailer clips where his little robot friends help him, and they put him in his little chair, and they use the big thing that fries the ants, the big magnifying glass, to zap him with the sun. And then it was the other thing that was described is that Superman had interjected himself into an international conflict overseas between Barovia, which I think that's an established DC something or other, and then Zampur or something, some other country.
Two nations I had never heard of in DC. They typically use some other country, but Baravia and Slobovia.
Slobovia. It was funny because the Corto Maltese was the one in the Suicide Squad, but that came from Batman '89. Yes. That was made famous in that movie. So he gets patched up because he got beat up by a dude in a suit called the Hammer of Baravia. But you're going to quickly find out that the whole thing is a flim-flam because it's being directed by Lex Luthor and all of his little team punching commands into this suit. So you're like, well, what's the deal with the suit? Is it just a robot? Is it Iron Man? And he continues to fight. And I think at the end of it, it's pretty much done to a draw. He flies off, and Superman has to do something else to not follow him, and he gets away.
He must have been, and we don't know really if he was punched that far and flew that far, or he was basically trying to just survive, which was So
go ahead.
It was a great opening. I mean, it just got right to it. It wasn't like drawn out, and then we were introduced right away. I mean, we saw the trailer, and then the Fortress of Solitude. We were introduced as parents. That was one of the first spoilers of surprise cameos we got. And Charlie, did you recognize Jor-El right away?
Absolutely, yeah. It was, of course, Bradley Cooper, who is the voice of Rocket and an actor you've seen in tons of stuff. And his mother is another actress who I've seen tons of stuff. She was in a short arc of one of the seasons of 24, but she was also apparently in Westworld, the more recent TV version, as one of the
she played bar hookers
one of the sex bots in that show, because is basically what it ended up being about. But yeah, she's a very exotic presence. But yeah, they ended up mostly so he had a recorded message from them, which was garbled, but the part of it was like, "You're our son and we love you," and like he watched that to give himself comfort when he was healing and blah blah blah.
First time we ever heard Kryptonian spoke,
Right.
I think. I can't remember hearing anyone speak
I
Kryptonian
mean,
in anything
they must
before.
have snuck it into that show Krypton that was on, but I never watched it. So yeah. But yeah, so times pass. So now we get our first glimpse of Clark Kent, and he's got the mussy hair and the suit and the glasses, and he walks in so we're meeting all of the characters, Cat Grant with her boobs hanging out, and Steve Lombard calling him loser and saying, well, sports writing is, but your writing sucks, but sports writing is blah, 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 blah. And it's pretty, Clark wrote a story where he interviewed Superman or something, and Lois is making fun of him and really and we meet Jimmy at the same time, really kind of pressing him. But we find out later that night when she comes home from work that he's there making her dinner because they've been dating for 3 months and they're a real serious couple. And they get in their first kind of spat and it was funny. Kurt pointed this out that it's pretty dishonest of Clark to interview himself. It's kind of like Peter Parker taking pictures of himself as Spider-Man. It's exactly the same. But yeah, they really go through the paces where Lois asks him a bunch of tough questions that he doesn't want to answer about the whole Barovia thing, and they have a spat, and then he takes off because and
they have a real couples argument. Oh, what did you say? Yeah. And like those moments, everybody has gone through, and Clark's obviously down, and he just leaves, and basically, what is it? Lois says, "I've never been good at relationships, or I know I would." So basically, this is and this is the first time we've really got a Superman film. Well, I guess where you just jump in and they're already a couple, except for the most recent TV series, right? Because that is set up as
their family. But yeah, this is the first where they seem like a real, and she's not just so swooning all over him like, oh, Superman, blah blah blah. She's treating him like another person, like they're equals in this relationship. So that was a nice twist. Plus, Rachel Brosnahan is one of my top celebrity crushes. So I loved seeing her in anything. She is. She's a Midwestern girl from Milwaukee. I looked it up. The movie moves forward into getting into Lex's scheme because the engineer, who is his female agent, has tracked Superman to where he had crashed. It's in the Arctic. I think it's in the South Pole now because the polar ice caps have melted up top. So now
it's in the Antarctic.
So he's down there and. She's able to track where the fortress, because the fortress just lives under the ice and pops up when he needs to get at it. Krypto's living at the fortress. Superman's robots are always there. But she points Lex in the direction. He brings his squad, including this dude in a black suit with a U on his chest. You don't know what his deal is. But as they approach the spot where she points it at, the fortress pops up and you're like, well, why did that happen? And we'll find out later. They go into the fortress and they just wreck it. They're tearing it apart. They kill all the robots that as much as you can kill a robot, tearing things up. And the engineer, she's a cyber woman, she jacks into his computer.
Injected with nanites. Yeah. I mean, she was an army individual. I guess Lex gave her nanites, so she's very loyal to Lex. We don't know why, really. She distrusts Superman.
And so she's able to manipulate the computer system and absorb the Kryptonian message, including the part that is garbled, and she translates it, and this immediately, it's funny, it immediately goes right back to Lex being on, I love it, he's on a talk show with a very kind of right-wing dipshit host that is played by
Tucker Carlson,
exactly, who's played by Ian Michael Black, who is a comedian I've loved forever. Yeah, exactly, from The State and from all the shows that we love.
Viva Variety.
Yeah, exactly. Where the Kryptonian,
we did within that fight though. We did get Krypto does fight, but he gets taken down. And Krypto's rough is in this whole movie. He's a major part of this movie, and I love it. It's not like just
he gets taken down and kidnapped, so we don't know where. And Clark is flipping out, and this comes up later on with his interaction with Lex trying to find the dog. But anyway, this message gets broadcast through the Tucker Carlson-esque Fox News guy that the rest of the message, while at the beginning it says, Clark, your son, we love you. We sent you to Earth because they're weak-willed and they're, you can rule them. Have as many wives as humanly possible. Repopulate them in your image.
Spread your genes.
And the thing is, like, oh, is this a flam? No, this is the real message. This is what his parents sent with him. And so people hear this and they're just absolutely horrified. And this is, by the way, after Clark has defeated a giant kaiju monster, which has the greatest reveal, because the night before, two guys drive up in a van and they open it and they let out this little monster who's like, blah, 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 and he breathing fire. And the one guy says to the other guy, whoa, he's kind of little to be a big menace and he'll get bigger. And so by the next, day, he's, 100 feet tall and it's him, fighting him. And they just call it a kaiju. And he, has the regular fight where he's fighting it and it's breaking buildings and stuff. And he saves a dog again by pushing a dog he catches a
squirrel.
He saves a squirrel, which April thought was great.
And a little girl. I mean, you seeing him do, and this is one of the things, Charlie, that I love about this. And he's doing everything he can to reduce damage and insightful. And he's very prescriptive in what he's doing, but he doesn't know the answers to everything. He's not a super genius, and he's trying to figure out what the hell to do. And then that's when the Justice Gang at this point, self-dubbed by Guy Gardner, they show up, and then you really get your first interactions with that team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you're right. It's at that point that the broadcast goes out, and Superman needs to kind of take a beat, and he goes in a building, and Garner comes in there, and he blocks it out so they can have a conversation. And then we flash to Lexus at the Pentagon, and this is where we see Rick Flag Sr., who we'd met from the Creature Commandos, and he's the dad of Rick Flag Jr., who was in the Suicide Squad 2021. So again, tilting in the aspects of what it's kind of like the Star Wars extended universe. When Disney took it over, they're like, we wiped it all out, but we're going to bring this back in and that back in. So they're kind of doing that. They're taking bits and pieces of the DCEU that they find useful and kind of working it back in. But they kind of give Lex permission to arrest Superman or to take him by force for questioning, which they do. He surrenders himself, and they herd him off to this little Quonset hut on a beach somewhere where they have a little, kind of tent village set up. And they walk in to what's basically a Stargate, a little round thing that opens up into a pocket dimension, which kind of Phantom Zone vibes, you know what I mean? Where they get him on a little thing and they fly him over to what's basically a cube prison. And he's sitting in a cell with Metamorpho, who's a classic DC character.
Well, and you find out Lex is just putting everybody there. He's putting an ex-girlfriend in
reporters,
there.
people who mess with him. He's got Metamorpho's young child as leverage.
Baby Joey.
I know, so it's tough. But Metamorpho, who's not a character I was super familiar with, and he's played by Anthony. It's an
Garamucci.
Anthony
Kerrigan.
Yeah, who was Mr. Zaz in Gotham, and he's been lots of other, he's a great character actor.
He's in Barry.
But Metamorpho can synthesize different elements, and it was previously mentioned in the movie that there's no more kryptonite on Earth. Well, Metamorpho is able to turn his hand into kryptonite, and this is a time where you really see just how destructive kryptonite is. He doesn't just go, oh, and fall over. He looks like someone who's standing next to a nuclear reactor. His skin is kind of melty.
And people say that, why do you look so bad?
Yeah, right. So he's crippled, and then Lex is torturing him. He kidnaps a guy from the street who knows him, and he's trying to get information out of Clark, and plays his game of Russian roulette and shoots this guy in the head. It's like, it's really dark. This is a very dark Lex Luthor. It's not Gene Hackman, like, I'm going to fire a rocket.
He doesn't have a sense of humor at all. He doesn't try to be humorous. He is very much intense. And they even talk about it. He's ruled by envy, and he mentions it. And he is spot on in the fact of the parts of Lex Luthor we have not gotten before, which I've loved his take on it. Yeah. And it's really cool. One of the things that we do get a point of this is a recurring joke of this is during the whole thing is Jimmy is apparently he's just a ladies'
He
man in
is,
this.
and that
And
reminds me
yeah.
of that. What was it with the All Star Superman they read? What was that? The one that we read recently for the Patreon, where he was a ladies' man, and the whole issue was just about Superman for all seasons.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it was all
I get those two mixed up, but yeah, really, yeah. So he was, he has an on the sly relationship with Eve Tessmacher, who's Lex's main squeeze, and she has got. If she doesn't remind me of one or two ex-girlfriends of mine, she's a total nutcase, and Jimmy is just milking her for information, but he really knows how to work her.
Even he refers to her as mutant toes because you don't first know what he's talking about because he's texting, he's getting insights, and so basically he's getting insights from her, and it's very funny. But I like the fact that Jimmy is. It's like he doesn't even notice that she's attractive. It's like, oh, she's attractive, like because he's got so many women that are apparently just falling at his feet. He's like,
he's got a whole file in his phone of chicks that he's.
So that's who tells him about the
dimension. So then he tells Lois. Lois recruits Mr. Terrific. They go to the Quonset Hut village. They force their way in, and the great fight sequence of Mr. Terrific. Because
that was really cool.
Again a character I don't know anything about, but I was like, I really dig it. But yeah, he's basically he's a genius. He's a technology master.
Tony Stark. He's essentially Tony Stark in the DC universe.
But he and Lois fight their way in, and at this point, Clark's dying, but he convinces Metamorpho. He says, "Well, I can save your son." He's like, "All right," and so he reduces he makes the kryptonite, which is his hand, disappear, and he's like, "Why aren't you getting any better?" He's like, There's no sun in here. I can't absorb it and get stronger." So you see the super cool thing where Metamorpho, and he describes what he's doing. Well, put some hydrogen and helium, and he creates a micro star, a sun, with his two hands, which gives Superman enough this is right when I had to go to the bathroom too, when that whole fight scene. But he broke out, he saves Joey, but he's carrying Joey around, but also fighting basically the Doom bots that Lex has. He has the what are they called, the Power Squad or something? What was the name of them?
Call them the Raptors, but the name of the team is is it Storm? No, World. No,
it's Watch Something. It's Watch Something.
Well, because I believe that's tied into the Wildstorm universe. It's one of those teams. So that's one of those things. So I'm like,
So there's an extended fight sequence where they finally fight their
Planet Watch.
They finally fight their way out of the zone, and everybody escapes. And but the problem is that leaving the portal open too long then causes it to start to break apart, and so they're far enough.
Well, I love that sequence when they start attacking Superman, but he's got the baby and he's trying to do everything to save the baby. And Anthony Kerrigan, he decides to get involved. I loved his use of powers, and then an ongoing gag, of course, is Crypto loves to attack cameras.
That's where Crypto was, by the way, when they kidnapped him. And it was so sad. They had kidnapped him and put diodes in his brain. It was like Clockwork Orange, where he was chasing little Superman. He was chasing squirrels with tails. Oh my God! Yeah, and again, it's one of the characteristics of Gunn's filmmaking is that he loves pets. He loves dogs. He loves small animals. So he always will work in something, which I thought he did really masterfully here. But anyway, they do escape. And then there's a scene where Lois is trying to recruit Hawkman or Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner to her cause, but she has to visit their headquarters. And this just sent me through the roof. Todd, where is their headquarters? Most iconic scene, location in all of comics, in my opinion. I'm saying that as a Marvel guy.
Hall of Justice, and they nailed it perfectly.
This was filmed in Cincinnati, and I believe in Columbus. This movie was largely made in Ohio, which is crazy. So this, if it wasn't because again, that's the Cleveland or Cincinnati Central. Union Central train station. That's what they formed it after. And that has been, to me, one of the most iconic anything settings wise, even going beyond anything Marvel has for me. So this was great, but they sat around going back and forth, and through this conversation, Lois, they have a great conversation about Clark's glasses, which I thought was awesome, to resolve the final mystery of why does he put the glasses on and people don't know who he is. How do they explain it?
They call it hypno glasses, and actually this is taken from the comics. And because James Gunn, the hardest thing he said for me to do is try to get people to think, oh, it's you can't tell the truth. So basically, they just said we're just going to use a dumb device because you know what? Why not? And I loved it. And within the Hall of Justice, they were painting, Charlie. I didn't know this, but they're talking about a mural of the JSA. So the JSA were there beforehand. So there's a heritage of characters.
And I didn't really grab that.
So,
This is definitely what I'm going to go see again, and I'll do a little bit of picking. We may wait a week or so and go see it. Maybe go see it in IMAX, just see what that's like when there's not like 1,000 people in the theater, because that's something that is an experience I don't love anymore.
It's pretty full theater for me.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, we saw it on Friday because we got back from up north around noon, and we went at like 2:30, and it was still pretty full. It was still before the other people were still at work. Now. As I was starting to mention, the portal has backed up, and it's starting to split the Earth and bring the Phantom Zone or the Pocket Dimension into the real world. And it's at the before Lois drives off, she's standing behind her car, which was an obviously plug for whatever vehicle is the marketing promote. Yeah,
Lexus.
Something. She has a Delaware license plate, and I love this. This brings into focus the fact that Metropolis is in Delaware, and Gotham City, as indicated by some signs on the highway, is across the river in New Jersey. So I love that we finally got that. Gotham seems. I haven't spent a lot of time in New Jersey. I don't want to knock any folks who are fans of ours. I think Joey was going to join us tonight. He lives in Jersey, doesn't he? So I'll say nothing more about New Jersey, but I've spent some time in Delaware, and I wouldn't say Delaware blew me away either. But I thought that was pretty cool.
I spent some time in Delaware. Yeah, it's it's a small state.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
It's the headquarters of all insurance and then all the world.
Is correct.
What are you gonna do, Charlie?
So all right, so now we're moving into the third act, but Clark still needs to recover. So we get the little side trip to Kansas where he gets to have some kind of great emotional moments with his parents and recharge. But we also get Crypto is with him, and Crypto has some interactions with the cows on the farm, which was pretty cute. And in the end, Clark says, "Well, I couldn't leave Crypto there. I was afraid he was going to kill my parents' cows."
I really loved the flip of Ma Kent and Pa Kent, because at this point, Ma's the kind of the stern one. She's the tough one. Dad's a softie.
Big time.
He is like my boy, and so I love how they flipped it, because typically it's been Martha's been the softie and Jonathan's been oh, you gotta be
he's also been dead, and this was the first time that he wasn't dead or didn't die.
I'm so glad. Yeah, it didn't have to be like, oh, Superman can only grow up because Dad died.
Well, like Spider-Man with Uncle Ben. You know what I mean? So kind of same thing. So Clark takes a moment. He's got some nice story beats with his dad where they're, and I love it. His dad telling the story about going to a different Mexican restaurant in the next town over. It's like, that's so country, because
awkward. It's very awkward parent moments, right? Like, what do parents do? Who's sick? And then what do they do?
We all have had interactions with parents and family like that, where you just kind of, the small talk is just totally stupid. But it's kind of what Clark needs to recharge. And so now he's going to fire off into the third act, which fortunately that crack in the earth is moving very slowly so that he can take some time to be in Kansas. And he flies back. And then we also have a fun, moment. Lois has been flying around in Mr. Terrific's like space vehicle, and she rescues everybody from the Daily Planet, and so they're all sitting in the car with her while she's flying around, and it's Jimmy and Perry and Steve Lombard. I don't have a chair, and like, he's the butt of every joke in this, which is great because it's Beck Bennett, who was on SNL, so that's his forte.
And the Steve Lombard character was the character portrayed exactly from the All-Star Superman, which we saw, where he loses hair. But one of the things I also liked about this, Charlie, is that you had the Daily Planet team actually doing something really important. They were getting all the pieces essentially to reveal Lex, and the way it was revealed is basically Eve was taking all these selfies, and then we find out she was doing it to get all of the information captured so it wouldn't seem, because why am I getting all these sexy selfies? Jimmy says, and they're like, because you've got she sent you all the information.
Behind the wall was everything that they needed to prove. The real plot line was that Lex was funding what Superman went to break up, which was the war between Moravia and Slobovia, because he was going to take
Moravia and Jaran
he was going to take over half of Jaran and call it, Lexicon or something, or Lexville. Costa del Lex, Otisburg, he was basically going to declare himself king of his own nation. And they're able to pull this information and then give it back to Ian Michael Black and all the other news channels. And I do love it how Jimmy's typing up the story, which is weird because he's a photographer, he's not a photographer in this. He's another reporter. Lois was actually just transcribing
saying the story. Right. He was just transcribing.
But I do love it that
Chief
they have laptops, but it's got the symbol on it for Lord Tech, which is Maxwell Lord, who was unfortunately portrayed in Wonder Woman 84 by the delightful Pedro Pascal, but now it's Sean Gunn, the brother.
And we're getting a better opportunity for it, and there's a cameo with that. So basically, we have two fronts. So Superman wants to help the Juripurians because they're about to get invaded by Moravia. And then Superman, though, we've got basically Mr. Terrific tells him, hey,
you got to stop the rift.
You got to stop the rift or there will be no. Right. So, obviously Superman's torn, but he knows what he has to do. And so we get, once again, another battle between Ultraman and
Ultraman now being revealed to be a clone of Clark. And the reason that he has a whole team of people guiding his action is that he's kind of a mindless automaton who has been taught he's Bizarro. He doesn't speak. And he and Superman have this extended fight underneath the surface of the world falling apart. I do love it how he blasts like Clark full tilt with his laser vision, and he gives Clark those kind of Pete Davidson butthole eyes. His eyes look all burned out. Like that was like a super crazy look. And then the engineer gets involved, so she tries to smother him with her nanites, and that whole sequence where he flies him up into the sky and still fights them loose. That was a very cool 10-minute sequence of the big battle.
Oh yeah. And then you find out why he flew up in the sky was basically to take out the engineer, because if he can take out the engineer, then all of her nanites will stop working. And he did take her out, and then we got the big battle. And then one of the things that Superman notices is while Ultraman is just beating him down, because Lex is essentially treating it like a video game. You go like 1A. So Bizarro has all these pre-programmed moves.
It's just Xbox, click the A.
Because they've documented Superman has 2,700 moves, and so we've studied it and we broke it down, and we just have to tell him. So there's all these cameras, and then as Ultraman's beating the crap out of him, there's a conversation between Lex and Superman. Well, Superman's probably like, if he's talking and he's knowing what's going on, and he talked about, he is dumber than you. Like Lex said, he's dumber than you. So he's like, Crypto, get the toy. And so that's a great return moment.
Yeah, you're right. And Crypto further going on and kind of illustrating his importance of plot. So he's able to defeat both, and then Ultraman gets sucked into the black hole, which one of the videos.
Yeah, he didn't kill somebody.
Yeah, I know. It's great. He didn't have to snap anybody's neck. But it's kind of posited that Ultraman disappearing into the void will turn him into actual Bizarro at some point. So
kind of like in All-Star Superman, where we had the Bizarro planet and so I think that I'm glad they did that, because it adds a character in a way that can bring a part of something that everybody knows Bizarro, and once again a power at the same level of Superman that's not a Kryptonian, where they keep going kneel before Zod
and bringing back Samuel. So we're getting to the end game here. So over in Moravia, it's Green Lantern and Hawkgirl show up. Hawkgirl does a great thing against Isabella Merced, who I was probably one of the best things about the Last of Us season 2. She picks up this president of Moravia.
Oh, that's her. Oh my God, I totally forgot. It was her. No wonder I recognized her.
I love how she's running around. She's screaming, but when she screams, it sounds like a hawk on. She
Oh, yeah.
grabs the
It's great.
president of Bravia and she's flying him like up in the sky, and he goes in his big thick accent, "Oh, you're not going to kill me because you're a good guy. You're like Superman. You're weak." And she's like, "I'm not like Superman." Bloop. She drops him to his death. Sweet.
And we get pure Guy Gardner chaos with all the fists coming up, the middle fingers. I love it to pieces. And Metamorpho
right.
joins in,
Yep.
and I love his personality. And yeah, we essentially get Guy Gardner. He basically asks, Hawkgirl says maybe he should be part of the team, and it's like, no, they wouldn't like a face to join the Justice Gang.
What a cool name.
Justice Gang. I like that name.
You're in.
You're
yeah,
in.
Exactly. Yeah. It reminds me of from Deadpool 2 where they're interviewing people to join X-Force. Just like, what do you do? Nothing. You're in. And then, so the end game back in Metropolis is they stop the the world kind of grows back together. Everything's going fine there, but they finally confront Lex, and Lex has been exposed. But Superman confronts him by being in the same room with him, and he says, Lex is like, "You stupid alien," or you immigrant piece of shit, or he calls him something. Then Clark has this great speech. He says, "You know what? I'm just a dude. I get out of bed, put on my pants one leg at a time. I put one foot in front of the other, and I just do the best I can. That's what everybody should do." And Lex is like, "Well, screw you." And then in a moment,
we have our Hulk
moment. That's exactly what I had said to Jordan, who's one of our people on SFU Discord. And I said that was the Hulk and Loki moment where Krypto just jumps in, and you see about 30 seconds of Krypto just throwing Lex around this control room like a rag doll, breaks his arm, which is awesome. And he's finally exposed and arrested and shuttled off to jail. That's where
he's got a tear in his eye because he's finally
all his plans and schemes kind of fell apart. And then we're winding things down, and then Lois and Superman get their kissing moment, and you can tell it's in that big mall in Atlanta. You can tell
it was a great moment. Yeah, you want to interview right now? Yeah, I want to interview right now.
And then they popped outside to Perry saying, "How long have the two of them been hooking up?" "I bet it's been about 3 months," Jimmy says. So yeah, they're not keeping any secrets. So that's fun, and that's about it. I think that's kind of where things wrap up before the stingers.
Pretty much.
Oh, right.
So then we
back
do
in the fortress.
Yeah, we end up in the back in the fortress, and they're basically great moment where they're like, "What's that noise?" And it's of course revealed that Supergirl is part of this world. She comes in drunk, and he explains it. Yeah, why she so bad? Well, she goes to planets with red suns.
She can get wasted. And party.
So she can get wasted. Yeah. She was coming back, and I was watching Krypto for her.
And it's funny.
No wonder he's so bad, because she doesn't discipline
the
dog.
Because even Krypto beats her up a little bit. Like he's smashing her against the wall.
And she enjoys it.
And she does drop, and this came from our friend Gimpy J, she does drop a great line when she's leaving. She says to Superman, "See ya, bitch!" And Superman and Gary, who is now robot number 4, got the name Gary, it's Alan Tudyk, by the way, doing the voice. Yep. And they just kind of go, "Nah." I mean, that's just, that's our Kara. She's a foul mouth kind of pain in the ass. And that is the end of the movie before the stingers, which
and then there's that touching moment where originally when Clark was healing the first time, we play movies of his parents to calm him down.
Big thing at home movies of Mon Pa Kent and him growing up. That was great.
So sweet.
That was very cool.
So sweet. Good. I mean, there weren't a lot of like songs in this, but that was a song as well. I like the moment when he talks about they're talking about, Lois says, "Oh, I'm pop." Oh
my God!
No, I'm punk
the
rock.
Crab Joys, and the poster on his wall, this made up like pop punk, like think of like Blink 182 or some other it's just they were having this pop punk. And Lois even they snuck in one of the weird suburb names of Metropolis, which was like Bridgeview or some shit. I'm from Bridgeview and we don't like them, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's where it was headed, and people have not been evacuated. So it was great. And that band actually has a song in Creature Commandos, this fake band that actually James Gunn created. Yeah, so they actually did some songs,
the Crab Joys. That's pretty funny stuff.
Yeah,
and then we get our first blush of the credits, and then we get and I did watch an interview bit with James Gunn where he talked about choose how he likes to have the after credit scene. The first one was just 10 seconds of Superman with his back to the camera, sitting on the moon, watching obviously the Earth in a distance, and Crypto just doing like, it was just like Eagly in Peacemaker. Yeah, with his arms around it.
Just a very time and looking at the Earth, right? In the moon.
Which is there was a great piece of fan art going around within the last year of the 4 Supermen sitting in that exact. So you had Hockner, Reeve, Brandon, Routh, and then our new guy, and then Cavill as well, kind of sitting. And so 5 of them with their kind of arms around each other and stuff. And then we get our second stinger, which is just, and it's funny because you're seeing the real friendship in the Justice Gang is between Terrific and Superman. They're buddies. They obviously they spend some time together, and they're looking at one of the buildings because Terrific is helping to reform things, because when the rift went away, things just kind of squeezed back together, but it didn't really fix things.
Still destroyed.
So they're looking at the foundation of this, and Clark says, well, it doesn't really look. He says it's not a big deal. And Terrific's like, what? He's like, well, I still think it's a little off. And he's like, you're telling me this now? And he kind of storms off, kicks a piece of rock. And I love him.
You want me to take it apart again?
And Clark goes, well, yeah, I just shouldn't have said anything. I'm such a jerk sometimes. Todd, it's you. It's you. It's like, you shouldn't say it, but it's Todd, and you still say it.
Yeah. So, I mean, like it was just nothing telling you what's next, but we do know what's next because we got a Supergirl movie going, and that's where she showed up. And it was perfectly laid out because he did say, well, it's not my dog, I'm just taking care of it. So it did lead into it. Then we got some great asides. We got Peacemaker showed up, and then we got Sean Gunn as Maxwell Lord basically say, Lex, ha ha ha. Basically, he's going away. He get locked
one
up.
things conservatives and liberals can agree on is that Lex Luthor sucks. A lot of great bits. So, all right, let's
Oh, and one other note, that orb that the Justice Gang was taking on when Clark was having that moment with was called an imp, so kind of a dimension imp, and basically that's what
Mr. Mxyzptlk. Okay. Oh, nice. I didn't necessarily catch that.
But it's not him. So, and I love the fact that he let that team take it on. He was like, oh no, I can let them do it. So that's kind of the nice thing about Superman doesn't have to be everywhere in this universe because he's got help.
Yeah, because there were no other characters in the Chris Reeve Earth, and then when they tried to jam everybody into the Snyderverse, it was a total mess. So this was done really with ease. And it was easy to have a supporting cast, not like everybody's got to have the same amount of screen time, and they were going to have to fight for it. So, all right.
And normally in most superhero films, when Superman and Guy Gardner are getting each other's faces, there'd be a big throwdown.
Yeah, exactly. It was nice to not have heroes fighting heroes. Let's blast through these comments, and then we will wrap this up. So we already talked about Game PJ's comment about Kara calling Superman a bitch, and they just kind of shrugged his shoulders. I had a great conversation with Jordan, very nice young lady who lives here in Grand Rapids, over on our SFU Discord. She loved the Crypto mauling Lex, and Superman's trying to stop him, and I'm sitting here like, no, that's deserved. I can appreciate that. Lois was phenomenal at every turn, and I just wish that she had punched Guy Gardner in the face because he deserved it. And that's when I educated her about the whole Guy Gardner Batman thing, which she didn't know about. So we did have a detractor, which I appreciate. I put a note out there on my Blue Sky. There's a gentleman named John Wall. I don't know him personally. He is at Midwest Side Quest at Blue Sky Social. I was pretty disappointed with it. I thought Corn Sweat was great. I really liked the themes, but the story was weak. Kurt had somewhat similar feedback, and that's okay. I don't think Gunn's direction was a good fit, and I especially didn't like the other metahumans in the film. I can't necessarily agree with that. But again, both Todd and I we're at a 90% on this, but I can see where the story didn't boom with a heavy. But to me,
I agree.
I think we've had so much heavy. I mean, Snyder weighed 50 tons of just crushing pressure of a film, where this let us have things where maybe it was a little lighter, but it still gave us some moments of really emotional punch that I think has been missing. So, yeah. But I appreciate the input.
And I would be curious to see, like, what is the right fit for Superman? I know, thankfully, there has been, was it Lois and Superman?
Yeah,
Was
Superman
the name of
Lois,
the movie,
with
or the TV
Hockner,
series?
yeah.
Yeah. So I know people really like that
Yeah.
take too. So I'm glad there are other versions of this, which are great.
Yeah.
And, but I'm trying to think, what other take can you do on Superman? Because it seems like we've got so many disparate takes
Right.
now that's like, a lot of them just have not fit. So
Yeah.
for me, this was great to get
Yeah,
this.
absolutely correct.
So.
Well, cool. All right. Well, Todd, I know you never see things again, but I feel like I will go see this again in the theaters. But it'll certainly, this is I know you do the rent, buy, or return over on your show. For me, this is a buy. I will purchase this so that I own it, so that I don't have to watch commercials if I watch it on Max or something. But yeah, I'm psyched. This was great. I hope there's still room for the Fantastic Four movie to make money, because I think people are going to hopefully continue to go see this.
I hope people open their heart to the Fantastic
Me
Four.
too.
That's my only worry, that because they've gotten
other
show opportunities to see them on screen, like Superman. So if it worked for Superman, maybe it works.
I
for
hope so too. But anyway, that is our show. Thanks for tuning in, Todd. Where do people find you out there?
You can follow me on the Blue Sky at Todd Oxtra, at Secret Friends Unite, at Toxtra, at Secret Friends Unite on the Threads, Facebook, Instagram. Don't use a lot of those but I do stuff there occasionally. So check us out there. Check out our Discord. And you know what? If you want to say one last goodbye to Mark, become a Patreon on a trial, and we'll have our little party.
Yes.
And
this is also the first I'm hearing of it, but I'll be there. You can find me over on my big three, which would be Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram, at the C3, TheCeeThree. But the real juice is over on our Secret Friends Unite Discord. Look for us if you're a Discord user. If you don't know anything about Discord at all, please message one of us. We will get you in there. And it's just basically, I had somebody question me about this. It's just basically a place to have chats without any ads or silly BS. We're just talking about fun pop culture geek stuff without any frills or advertisements or silly nonsense. So we'd really love to have you there again. Secret Friends Unite at Discord. And with that, I will bid you a fond adieu. Thank you again for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
And a truck.
Crypto.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.